What's going down, D-Gens? Hey, back right before the season starts. Go over some line moves, give you, I guess, the plus EV from what we got on the lines that moved in our direction, the minus EV, the ones that went against us. But also, I do have one last-minute play. I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit on, not a huge play, but something if you're just like a compulsive type gambler, you want to have a little bit more action on Sunday. It's first week. I did find one more that I'm willing to put some money on, so we'll discuss that. But really just want to go over everything that we did over the summer before kickoff happens, because a lot of these plays, or a lot of the lines have moved, and it's been pretty drastic. Aside from that, I wanted to give you guys a best bet for today, or for, between now and Sunday. I'm recording this Wednesday morning, because the best bets that have been on here and the bets that I've given out, they've moved so much that a lot of these are just not available anymore. And if you want to pay the VIG to get to the numbers that I gave you, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, it's just not really valuable at that point anymore. Yes, you may still win, but you're going to put a lot more money out on the line to get the same one unit that me and some other people bet a month or 2 months ago. So let's go over this. First of all, let's take a look at the picks that are already in. So we got the Rams +3, Patriots +3, Ravens -6, Giants +7, 49ers -6.5. Those are all of the one unit plays. The other three that are smaller bets, it's the Broncos -5, the Bucs -1.5. Honestly, the Bucs -1.5, if you wanted to put more on that, I'm not going to fight you on it. It would have been a one unit play for me, but I'm just trying to kind of keep everything under like 7 units for week 1, because 7's really like my stretch goal of like, hey, I don't want to go above that. Lastly is the Colts and Texans under 44, and that one has moved some as well. And I think there may be a little bit of line value on that to be had if you want to jump in now. So let's take a look and see where some of these lines have moved. Take a quick look at those first, and then we'll go here to the Rams. So the Rams is still +2.5, so you would still have to buy the hook. At no point did it actually reach the +3, at least not as of now. We did have to buy the hook to get it to 3, even 2 weeks ago. So that's still on the board. The Ravens have gone to -7 from where they were previously at -6. So again, you would have to pay a little extra VIG to get it to 6, but I think there's still a lot of value at the Ravens -7. That's actually one play I want to get into a little bit later here. The Patriots +3.5, so they've continued to take some money, and I think this is a lot of people just talking down the Patriots and how bad that the offense has looked, and talking up the Dolphins and how great all the pieces are, despite the fact that Jalen Waddle really hasn't practiced at all, and that we have a new coaching staff and a new coach and all this kind of stuff. So I still really like the Patriots here, and I would still take that extra +0.5 point, even though it did move against us. So far we have one neutral, 1 point of value in our favor, which gives you about a 3% win advantage or win edge, meaning that you should win those plays 3% more often than not. And then we lost a 0.5 point here at the Patriots, so that's -1.5% as far as win value is concerned. Next is the 49ers. We got them at -6.5. It's now -7, so a 0.5 point in our favor. The Colts Texans, we didn't bet that one, but I am just kind of curious to know that the Texans took enough money to bring it down to +7, where it had been sitting at 8 pretty much the entire summer. The Raiders Chargers still -3. Giants Titans, this is the big one. We took this one earlier in the summer. I want to say it was probably July when we first took that bet. It was at 6.5. We bought it up to +7. And back then, buying it to +7 was only like -125, depending on what book you're looking at. Some of them treat buying points a little bit differently. It's now down to 5.5. So at this point, I would not be on the Giants. Not at the 5.5. They moved that number so far that it's below the key numbers, 6 and 7. You're still getting the 3, but it's just not enough for me. And if you look at the Madden algorithm, and so I just kind of reworked these with some of the updates for the injuries and things like that. The Giants, all of their receivers are listed as questionable for the most part. So Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, and Kenny Golladay are all listed as questionable. I assume they're all going to play, but I did take Sterling Shepard out of the rankings here only because he's still coming off a torn Achilles, and even if he plays, I don't think he's going to play much, and I don't think he's going to play up to what his ranking says he is. So I took him out and I replaced that with Wan'Dale Robinson. Also, they have some injuries to their linebackers with Thoreau or Kevin Theodo, whatever the hell his name is. So made that change. And previously they were -5, which means that the -7 that we got, or +7 I should say, was actually 2 points of value. With the injury issues, they're up to about 5.5. So that means that this line is right. According to the Madden algorithm, the -5.5 or the +5.5 for the Giants is exactly where it should be. And like I said, at this point, there's just not any more value on it. I wouldn't say to buy it up to the 7 either. It's just going to cost you way too much money because they're going to charge you an extra VIG to go to the 6, and then they're going to charge you even more VIG to go to the 7 because the books are aware that those are key numbers. So I would be off of that play as of right now unless you wanted to tease it through those numbers as a second leg of a teaser. The Broncos, -6.5 when we got it at -5. So huge difference there. 1.5 of value in our favor. So that's really big. I actually think that number is going to continue to grow. You can even kind of see here it's -111 instead of the -110. And this is a Monday night game. So as the games conclude Sunday, people start moving their money and chasing their losses, and they put that money on the Sunday night game, which I believe is why this Buccaneers line has moved. I apologize, I skipped that one. It's moved from -1.5 to the -2.5. That I believe is going to continue growing as well, because as these games finish and people lose some money, or even if they win some money, they're going to think, let's go ahead and bet on the Sunday night game. We're going to take the Buccaneers. They seem like the shoe-in lock, right? Well, now that line's moving, can almost guarantee you it's going to be -3 by the time we actually get to kickoff. And then after that game, the money's going to flood into this Monday night game. So I'm almost willing to guarantee this is going to be a -7 by the time we get to Monday night. So if you want to get the Broncos, I would say I would personally still buy the half point down to 6 just to get it to the key number. But that's about it. That's all I'd be willing to go. And if you want to do that, you're going to want to do that before Sunday. Because I think Sunday morning you might be okay. But by Sunday afternoon, the money's going to come in on this line. And it's going to keep coming in until kickoff. So you want to get that sooner than later. So a lot of line moves. Most of them in our favor, with just 1 or 2 kind of going against us. The Giants game, the Broncos game, 2 really big ones. The Ravens game, so at the -7, like I said earlier, it has gone with us. So we got a point in value there, but I still find that there is value at the 7. And to be honest with you, that's going to be my best bet. If you're betting today, you haven't placed anything in the whole summer, you don't have anything in your pocket, you don't have anything already, kind of in the books, that's the play I'd be looking at today. You don't have to buy a point, you don't have to buy anything, you can get the -110 odds, and I do believe you're at a good number. You're getting the key number of 7. There's a lot of different things working against the Jets for this particular game. The biggest one, in my opinion, is that Mekhi Becton is obviously going to be out. And losing a tackle like Becton is huge, especially against a team like the Ravens, who can bring pressure every which way. Now, they did lose their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, so maybe that defensive blitz pressure kind of gets dialed back a little bit. But either way, I still believe they're going to find ways to bring pressure. I think John Harbaugh likes that style of defense, and it would not surprise me to see them still have a higher than average blitz rate, especially against a team like the Jets, who is using Joe Flacco this week, and that's reason number 2. So Zach Wilson is out, and according to everything that I read this summer, before he got hurt, the Jets had placed a huge emphasis on bringing Zach Wilson up to speed. Last year, he was taking too long to process things, too long to read the plays, too long to even get the huddle situation going. And so they had tried really hard all summer, focusing on him to bring him up to speed, to bring him along to NFL speed. And they were getting there, and then he got hurt. So then they had to switch and focus a lot of attention into Joe Flacco. Now, Joe Flacco's he's a veteran. I don't think they had to really bring him up to NFL speed, but it's a totally different style of play from Zach Wilson to Joe Flacco. Zach Wilson has a huge arm. He's trying to get the ball downfield. That's kind of why he holds the ball for so long and why he tries to read the defense for such a long time, whereas Joe Flacco is the exact opposite. Joe Flacco is going to take the first thing that's open, whether it's the check down, it's a slant route, it's the earliest, quickest thing to get the ball out of his hands. It's a huge style of play difference there. Secondly, though, Joe Flacco he's just not mobile anymore. So having him go in the pocket against a depleted offensive line with a defense that's going to get after him is just not a good mix. To be honest with you, my kind of secret play as far as like DraftKings or fantasy for this week would be Jared Wilson, because he is their slot receiver for the Jets, and I think he's going to end up getting a lot of work. A lot of the passes are going to go his direction, mainly because there's going to be a lot of pressure on Flacco, and he's going to be looking to get rid of that ball as quick as he possibly can. So Wilson should be able to get a lot of the targets in that particular offense for that particular week. Now that, again, is assuming that Zach Wilson does stay out. Now they're saying he's questionable, but from the doctors I've heard on YouTube and just kind of previous injuries and things like that, I don't think it's realistic to see Zach Wilson out there this coming week. Also, though, last year, obviously last year's different, right? We can only kind of use it as a marker. But last year, the Jets lost every single game that they played against a top 12 pass defense. Now, the Ravens were not a top 12 pass defense last year. But remember, like I always say, or I always try to remind everybody, the Ravens lost their entire secondary by week 6 of last year. So that secondary is going to look much better. The offensive line is going to look much better. Everything is going to look much better about this Ravens team. And people were sleeping on them in the summer. I think they kind of finally noticed the Ravens were getting healthy. Now, obviously, they're still without J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, but they did bring in some pieces to kind of shore up their running back room, and they are more, ready to play without those guys. This wasn't like somebody that got hurt last week, right, or in the middle of the preseason like they did last year. They have known that their two starting running backs were hurt since the offseason. They've made the moves that they needed to have the pieces that they need back there. Lamar Jackson's finally healthy. So that defense, again, healthy, I believe is going to end up being a top 12 pass defense this year, and I think that's going to cause the Jets a lot of issues. Also, the Jets themselves finished as the absolute worst defense last year. They were 32 of 32 per DVOA. I think that's just all sorts of bad for this coming week. The Ravens are ready to take out some aggression. They've been playing essentially like game speed for the last 3 weeks because of preseason. We all know John Harbaugh really goes all out to win these preseason games, even if guys are getting injured. So I do expect the Jets to come in here and maybe be lacking a little bit in the defensive side of the ball, where the Ravens are just going to take these guys apart. They're going to do everything they need to. Even Rashad Bateman, the number one receiver for the Ravens, should get some pretty good looks. He is going up against the rookie cornerback, I can't remember his name right now, who's supposed to be pretty good. But in the first game action, I don't think we can expect a corner to shut down Rashad Bateman, especially if they put him in a man-on-man situation. It's going to cause an issue, because either you shut down the receiver and you turn your back to Lamar Jackson and give Lamar Jackson a bunch of running lanes, or you try to play zone and let the receivers get open, let Mark Andrews find the gaps in your zone. So either way, I don't really think they're going to be able to stop the Ravens. There's just too many outlets the Ravens have to keep the ball moving. Lastly, Vinny Curry, defensive end for the Jets, is also injured, expected to miss the game. Doesn't seem like a huge issue because he's not even a starter. He's either like a second or third stringer, depending on what outlet you look at. But I think it comes into play later in the game here, mainly because this is week 1. A lot of these guys are still not in midseason form yet, right, obviously. But secondly, they are going to be playing against Lamar Jackson. They're going to play against a quarterback who's going to make that defensive line move. He's going to have them chasing him all over the field, a lot of little dump-offs, a lot of running plays, a lot of stuff to tire out this defensive line. And so when you take away the depth, and now you only have 2 to 3 defensive ends instead of 4 or 5, you're going to have an issue, especially when you get into third, fourth quarters, where these guys are already going to be tired, and now they just don't have anybody to sub in. They don't have any fresh bodies to put in there. So for all those reasons, I think the Ravens aren't going to just win this game. I think this is going to be a blowout. The -7, like I said, is still a great bet. I think it's my best bet on the board if you had to come in and bet something today. And if you want to, really be a degen, I would say even lay a little bit of money on the alt line. Go to like -10, see what you can get on that, because this is one of those games where I could see the Ravens winning like 35-3, 35-10, something like that, where they just beat the shit out of the Jets because everything is going against the Jets this week. So that's the best bet, and that's kind of a look at a lot of the line moves. But lastly, let's talk about the one play that I did add just this week, and that's actually going to be the Patriots Dolphins to go under 47. So it is at 46.5. Now, I would buy that up to the 47 because 47 is a key number as far as totals are concerned. 44, 47, 51, those are your key numbers. 52 is also a lesser key number. 41 is a key number for very low-scoring games. So those are kind of your lesser key numbers. But all that being said, the Dolphins-Patriots have played each other for their first game of the season the last 2 years, and they have never even come close to this 47. I believe the closest they got was like 41 or something like that. It's always been like a 21-11. Last year was 17-16. They've been very low-scoring games. It's a divisional game. They're going to play Miami. It's going to be very hot. Weather's going to be sweltering. These guys are going to get winded. They're going to get tired out by the second half. Whether we cover the Patriots 3 or not, I think this game is going to be really, really low-scoring, and I think these teams are out there to try and just stop the other team from scoring for the most part. And we have the Patriots who are going to play defense and running the ball, and we have the Dolphins who are going to try to take a lot of those slant routes, and hopefully they can, pick and piece kind of their way down the field or hit one long one with Tyreek Hill. But again, I really think these are going to be low-scoring games, this one in particular, and I believe whatever the score is at third quarter, you're probably not going to see too much scoring in the fourth quarter just because of fatigue. So the under 47 is really, really appealing to me. Now, it was at 44 earlier in the offseason. It has gone up to the 46.5. A lot of that is because of that note of emphasis that got placed in the preseason. A lot of the preseason games are going over. We've noticed the referees are throwing a lot of flags now because of just really ticky-tack calls down the field that extend plays, extend drives, and cause additional points. This is one of the games that I really feel is going to stay under the total, even with those additional flags. So if you're going to look at the unders this week, you definitely want to choose your battles because you could see those flags still coming into play, even in week one. Now, the other one was the Colts Texans. We took that under 44. It's now at 46. Again, mainly because of the same thing I just said. That note of emphasis came in. I would still take the under 46 at this point. I liked it at 44. I still like it at 46. Same thing. I think these two teams are going to be very low scoring, a lot of running, a lot of defense. The Colts don't really look to step on the throat of anybody, especially week one. We all know their struggles. So I think these two games on the under are where I would look to go. But that Patriots-Dolphins game is a new play for me. It just kind of opened up the value when I saw how much it had gone up. And again, I would buy that extra half point to keep it under 47. That's the extra play here, guys. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this was informative. I have been updating the Madden algorithms, but there really hasn't been anything major that's changed because of the line moves. The one I did want to go over was just the Ravens, and I apologize I didn't do this earlier, but I did update it to have Joe Flacco score in there instead of Zach Wilson. It was 1.6 of a line move when we do that. The line has moved 1.5 points, meaning that the Vegas line has moved pretty much in sync with the Madden algorithm line. There is that little 0.1% that has not been accounted for. So if you want to count that as extra value, you can. Now this line says it should still only be about 4 points. I don't agree with that. I think either the Ravens are underrated or the Jets are overrated per the Madden ratings. But as far as the line move is concerned, there's still value. So again, that's the best bet for the week, guys. That's the extra play for the week. I'll put everything in the comments below. Thanks for listening. Good luck this week. We're finally into fucking football season, and everything's about to kick off. Life is about to be great again. Good luck, guys.